Hi, and thanks for joining. Listen, if you're above 70, or perhaps you have a parent or family member who is, and there's any plane travel in your plans, you're going to want to stay tuned. This is a really significant one. There's a complete series of updated airport screening regulations being introduced, and truthfully, they're creating some serious unanticipated challenges for older passengers right at the checkpoint. So today, we're simply going to explain it all down section by section. Our aim is to provide you a straightforward, worry-free handbook so you can travel with complete assurance. Let's get started. So, here's how we're going to approach this. We've got 5 parts. First, we'll discuss these fresh obstacles at the checkpoint and, why they're even happening now. Then, we're going to explore into the single largest update you need to understand about the Real ID cutoff. After that, we'll get into the details of getting through the terminal with medical supplies, or if you require a little mobility assistance. Part 4 is all about the modern digital terminal. What's happening with all the electronic boarding documents? And lastly, and this is the crucial part, we're going to bring it all together into a straightforward action checklist for you. All right, so you might be curious why all of a sudden what's happening. Well, over the past couple of years, the Department of Homeland Security and the TSA have been in the midst of this enormous modernization initiative at practically every major terminal. They installed new screening technology. They've computerized a lot of the verification systems, and they've strengthened all the screening regulations. And listen, the objective is to make things more secure for everyone, but one of the unplanned consequences is that seniors, particularly if it's been a little while since you've traveled, are encountering these fresh complications that can honestly just halt a journey dead in its tracks. And trust me, this isn't just a hypothetical situation. This is actually occurring. Let me just share a brief example that occurs all the time. Picture a 72-year-old woman so thrilled to travel and meet her brand new grandchild for the first occasion. She arrives at the terminal plenty early, has her driver's license, the same one she's carried for years. It doesn't even expire for another 2 years. But the TSA officer examines it, shakes her head, and informs her she can't board the aircraft. And she's just bewildered, distressed, and she ends up losing the entire journey. The officer's reasoning: no star, no travel. The consequences here are serious. Now, that example reaches a really essential point. This isn't targeted. These updated regulations were not created to make things harder for elderly passengers. It's all because of that massive system-wide screening enhancement we were just mentioning. The updated framework is kind of designed with this expectation that everybody has a mobile device in their pocket and a government identification that was obtained in the last year or two. But, that's simply not actuality for millions of us. And older adults are frequently the ones getting trapped in this void. So, our objective today is to provide you the knowledge you need to just glide right through this updated framework. So, that leads us right to the major one, the single largest concern that's going to impact every single individual traveling in the U.S. But it particularly affects seniors who might have possessed their license for a pretty long duration. I'm referring about the Real ID mandate. You've likely heard about it, correct? Maybe you noticed a poster at the DMV and thought, I'll handle that eventually. Well, eventually is officially now. So, what is a Real ID exactly? It's quite straightforward. It's simply a federal screening standard that every state-provided identification, like your driver's license, has to satisfy now if you want to utilize it for federal purposes like boarding a flight. Now, the simplest way to determine if you're prepared to go is to simply examine your license. If you've got it nearby, go ahead and grab it right now. Look in the upper section, typically the top right. Do you notice a small star? It could be gold or black. If you spot that star, you are fantastic. You're completely ready. But if you don't notice a star, we've got to discuss. You need to take steps. Okay, record this date down. Highlight it. Put it on your schedule. May 7th, 2026. After that date, the TSA will formally cease accepting those previous driver's licenses that don't have the star. You won't be permitted to pass through screening with one. Now, here's the detail that catches so many individuals off guard. This is accurate even if your license hasn't lapsed yet. I'm going to repeat that again. You could have a license that's completely legitimate for driving until 2028, but if it doesn't contain that star, it's not going to function for a trip after May 7th, 2026. All the extension periods are finished, and the TSA officers at the terminal have zero flexibility on this. They can't grant an exception. All right. So, what do you do if you examine your license and there's no star? Don't worry. You've got three really straightforward choices. Number one, and this is what most individuals do, is you visit your local DMV and you obtain a real ID. Now, you'll need to carry some particular paperwork, usually something like a birth certificate to verify your identity, your social security card, and a couple confirmations of where you reside, like utility statements. And my suggestion? Don't delay on this. The DMVs can get backed up for weeks. Option 2, you can simply utilize a valid U.S. passport or a passport card. If you possess one, that's wonderful. Go verify the expiration date on it right now. A passport is the premier standard. And third, if you're a veteran or active military, your military ID card is already Real ID compatible. You're ready to go. Okay, wonderful. We've got the entire identification matter figured out. Now, let's proceed on to the second major category where things have shifted: traveling with prescriptions, medical equipment, and receiving assistance with movement, like a wheelchair. Because of all the updated screening procedures, the way you might have handled things in the past might not work anymore, no pun intended, and arriving unprepared here can really create some significant frustrations and holdups at the screening queue. With these updated regulations, TSA officers are simply being a lot more thorough. So, if you're flying with any kind of prescription medication, you absolutely have to store it in the original pharmacy container with the label on it. That label with your name on it is essentially your authorization slip. For items like insulin needles, it's a really smart idea to have a letter from your physician on their stationery just describing why you require them. And for any kind of equipment, a CPAP machine, a nebulizer, anything like that, just place a copy of the prescription or a physician's letter in the bag with it. It's not about them attempting to block you. It's just about possessing the documentation to demonstrate to screening that these items are medically required. Now, this number on your display, this is your hidden advantage for real. This is the TSA Cares Assistance Line. It's a totally complimentary service that's built specifically to assist passengers who have disabilities or medical situations. Here's the wonder. If you contact them at least 72 hours before you travel, they will actually coordinate with the TSA officers at your terminal to ensure you have a much gentler, simpler screening experience. They can even have somebody there to greet you and help escort you through. It is an incredible resource that not enough individuals are aware about. This is another significant update. It used to be that you could essentially just arrive at the terminal and request a wheelchair if you required one. Well, those times are essentially finished. A lot of terminals have contracted outside companies to manage these services, and they simply don't have a lot of additional personnel standing around. So, to ensure that you'll receive help, you have to arrange it when you purchase your ticket, or at the absolute latest 48 hours before your trip. If you simply arrive and request, you could be sitting for an hour, maybe longer, and that's an easy way to miss your departure. So, the main point is, you've got to organize ahead and reserve it in advance. Let's proceed on to the modern digital terminal. You've probably observed that carriers are encouraging, and I mean seriously encouraging, for everyone to utilize a digital boarding document on their mobile phone. And for a lot of individuals, that's wonderful. It's efficient. But if you don't own a mobile phone or you simply feel more at ease with a good traditional printed version, this entire electronic movement can feel a little overwhelming. But I've got great information. You absolutely still have alternatives. Yeah, the complete procedure of obtaining a boarding document has certainly evolved. The traditional method was easy, right? You walked up to the desk and a representative printed your document for you. Now, there are a few different ways this can happen. The carrier's number one preference is for you to utilize their mobile application. Their next preference is for you to check in at home on your desktop and print it out yourself. If you can't accomplish that, you can utilize one of the automated terminals at the airport, and that's still complimentary. The very final option is approaching the service counter, and you need to be conscious of this. Some carriers are now imposing a charge, anywhere from $5 to $25 just to have a representative print your document. So, the primary lesson here is you don't require a mobile phone to travel, but you do need to have a strategy for how you're going to obtain that boarding document. Okay, so we have addressed a lot of territory here, right? We discussed identifications, medical guidelines, electronic boarding documents, a lot of content. So, now let's combine all of this valuable guidance together into one straightforward practical list. Think of this as your pre-trip action strategy. Your pass to guaranteeing sure your next journey is smooth, pleasant, and completely worry-free. Here we go. Your 7-step strategy for a flawless journey. Number 1. As soon as we're finished here, examine your identification for that star. Number 2. Collect up all your medical documentation and place it in your carry-on so it's with you. 3. If you believe you'll require a wheelchair, arrange that help when you purchase your ticket. 4. I want you to genuinely consider obtaining TSA PreCheck. It's about $78 for 5 years. It means briefer queues and you don't have to remove your shoes, your belt, or take your computer out of the bag. Believe me, it is a game changer for minimizing anxiety. 5. Determine before you depart for the terminal exactly how you're obtaining your boarding document. 6. Before you pack, research your carrier's carry-on dimension guidelines and measure your luggage. You don't want any costly surprises at the checkpoint. And number 7, simply get there early. Our suggestion is 2 and 1 to 2 hours for a domestic trip, 3 and 1 to 2 for international. That additional time is the greatest present you can offer yourself. It's a cushion against anxiety. Listen, it's accurate. The guidelines have evolved. The terminal has gotten a little more complex. But understanding is strength, right? By comprehending what's different and simply doing a little preparation work before you leave, you are the one in total command. These aren't truly barriers. They're simply new phases in the routine. You've deserved the right to go see your relatives, to take that getaway you've been imagining of, and to experience the world without any of this trouble. So, with this strategy in your back pocket, the only actual question remaining is, where are you going to travel next?